This is the book of Habakkuk, chapter 2, verse 6. Shall not all these take up a parable against him, and a taunting proverb against him, and say, Woe to him that increaseth that which is not his. How long? And to him that ladeth himself with thick clay. All right, so giving all praises, honor, and glory unto Yahweh, Bahashem Yahweh Shai, Bahashem Rachakodash. Double honors to the elders and apostles of Great Millstone, as well as the men that taught them, and peace and blessings to the 144,000, as well as the rest of the elect. It's Brother Taza Pai with another lesson, and I'm here going into Habakkuk chapter 2, verse 6 for this lesson, but it's in light of the Thursday live show that's coming up. So it's kind of a prelim, if you will, because if the Lord's will, I would like to talk briefly, here in this lesson, and then, of course, later this afternoon on the Thursday Live, about the situation in Burkina Faso, because it is gaining much traction, and Esau is going to have to make an adjustment, all right, because his normal MO up until now he has not been able to, it hasn't worked, all right? The normal MO of setting up a coup, to either oust the incumbent leadership, all right, or just a flat out assassination. They've tried both. Neither has worked. So now they're in straits, as Job the 20th chapter told us they would be in straits. All right. So this hits so many prophecies that you have to speak on it. Because I can go to Daniel chapter 2, which speaks about the miry clay. Right here it's talking about thick clay. All right. You go to Daniel 2, it talks about the iron mixed with miry clay. All right. Now I'm going to say that. We'll probably touch on that later. Like I say, if the Lord will, this is the Most High's program, but this is my hopes. All right. So to get into this, I chose this, particular prophecy just for the sake of time. All right. But again, I would like to go a little bit more in depth later on. So if you can catch the show, catch it live. If not, catch it when you can catch it. But it will be edifying, all right? So I want to show you this. Well, let's break this down, and then I'm going to show you the video. So it says, shall not all these take up a parable against him? And all of these are the people that's referred to in the previous verse. So this is Habakkuk chapter 2, verse 5. It says, yea, also, because he transgressed by wine. Right. Now, you heard me a minute ago speak about his MO of staging coups, coup d'etat, to overthrow existing governments and rulerships in order to set up and put in place puppet leaders that will bend to the will of the West, that will obey, the NATO and the EU, the beast, that'll do the bidding of the beast and continue to subjugate the people of that land. All right. Well, this is his wine. Well, one of many, all right? One of many. You also have democracy, because usually when they come in and they oust the legitimate government or leadership, they usually bring in democracy, all right? Now, they will bring in Islam, because Islam is the religion of terrorists. So if they're going to make it a terrorist regime, they'll bring in, somebody under the Islam umbrella. All right? Because all of them terrorists over there in the Middle East, they're either Sunni or Shiite. All right? Now, are there Christian terrorists? It could be. It very well could be. I hadn't heard of any. If it is, there's a It's a rare thing. But you do hear about all of these Muslim terrorists. So these are just some of their wine that I'm just going into. So, they'll either set up their regime as democratic, or they'll set it up after they take over, they'll set it up as Muslim. And then they might fund terrorists through or either produce terrorists. Now, well, let's finish breaking this down. So it says, yea also, Habakkuk 2:5, yea also because he transgressed by wine his doctrines, ideologies, philosophies. All right, for this particular lesson, we're speaking about his foreign policy. All right, and I did 2 lessons last week on America's foreign policy, which America is getting ready to try to do negotiations with Ibrahim and Burkina Faso, which Burkina Faso means land of the upright people, which further solidifies, well, I won't say solidify, but further lends credit to those people being Israelites, all right? Because, they say, well, that name Burkina Faso came, I forget which year, but it was either changed in the 50s. It was probably in the 50s or the early 60s. The name became Burkina Faso, and that was to say land of the upright people. Now, when you look at Ibrahim, all right, he looks good. He sounds good. I mean, they couldn't have asked for a better leader, in my opinion. He's well-spoken. He's sharp as a tack. He's on his shit. And then the man say he only sleeps 1 hour a day. He say that's all he gonna allow himself to sleep is 1 hour a day. And he still has the presence of mind to deal with all of the problems and situations, that they're facing and the opposition that's coming up against them. All right. I give the man credit. So, it says, yea, also because he transgressed by wine. He is a proud man, neither keepeth at home, who enlargeth his desire as hell. And that's what they've been doing in Burkina Faso. And Ibrahim rose up because he been seeing the oppression. He was a part of the military. And then they just decided, you know what, let's get the French military out of here. Then they start getting the French civilians out. And now they making claims that like this one dude say, he just making decisions. He ain't getting on the phone, calling nobody, asking, can he do this? He just doing shit, And it's not haphazard. Or, like I said, he has his head on straight. He's not just doing shit to be doing shit. He's making calculated, strategic moves to put his people and his country in a winning position. All right? He's trying to get in a winning position for him and his people. And they're vilifying him for that. For wanting what's best for his country and his people, he's being vilified. All right? This is the wine that the white man transgressed by. Where he enlarged his desire as hell. You got something on your land, in your land, that he likes, that he wants, he covets it, and then he goes and gets it. And in the process of him getting it, he brings hell. All right? That's why it says, who enlargeth his desire as hell, right? He's not going to come and offer you a square deal for your resources. Hey, look, this is a square deal. We're gonna set you up. We'll give you this. In exchange, could we have that? Could we have? No, they just come in and say, oh, you got that? Look, you don't know what to do with it. Let us show you how. See, you ain't got the facilities to mine it or to process and to refine this. So you take it out the ground. You have your people take it out the ground. We'll come get it, and we'll process, refine it, make products with it. And if you need any of those products, we'll sell it to you at a marked up price. Well, that's been the way up until now. Ibrahim is saying, no mas. All right? No more. And bravo, standing ovation, all of that. Go to him, and I wouldn't care what nationality he is, because the enemy of my enemy is my friend at this point, but those people happen to be Israelites. All right? Those people happen to be Israelites. And that's just me judging by the Spirit, using my spirit of discernment. And so, well, let's continue. It says, who enlarged his desire as hell and is as death. You've seen some of the videos. They got little kids in these makeshift mines that just, any little, if you blow on the mine too hard with your little bitty breath, all that shit will come collapsing down. And these children, they're barefoot, no PPE, that's personal protective equipment, no helmet, barely a light, and they in there digging up shit with their hand, not even a shovel. Pulling this lithium and all this shit up out the ground by hand, all right? With in these makeshift mines, in which they have collapsed. The Esau don't care, man. Now here it is. You seeing this. In the case of Ibrahim, or, those people that's living this reality. They're seeing this. They grew up on this. Don't you think that shit get old? But yet Esau seemed to think like we should be thanking him for rape, robbing, and pillaging us. What? Are you so ungrateful that you don't appreciate this pillaging? All this good pillaging I've been doing. And you gonna be so ungrateful as to ask me to leave. Really tell me to leave. That's his sentiment. That all of these countries and these people should be happy that Esau is coming to rape them of their resources. This is why it says, who enlarged his desire as hell, and is as death, and cannot be satisfied, but gathereth unto him all nations, including Burkina Faso. All right, you got Nigeria, you got Senegal, you got, who else? There's at least 4 other countries. All right, that's following his lead. And the video I was referring to earlier where the guy said that Ibrahim, he ain't calling and ask nobody. He making decisions like a leader. All right. Well, that man also said that, now what was that point? I had to come back to me. But, he said that Burkina Faso has outpaced all other countries in Africa and are making them look bad. All right. And that's the truth. But I mean, the reality of it is, all right, it has to start somewhere. And it just so happened, and look who the Lord used. A young man, all right, not no old head, settle on their lees, ain't got a problem with the status quo, No, he had to get that radical blood, that young blood that said, man, look, because that's what the youth, and his whole thing is we got to teach the youth, all right, because they're forgetting about African. This is his words. They're forgetting about African history. They don't know where they come from. They don't know the struggles and how we got here. And his whole thing is to teach the youth. And I agree. That's your warrior energy in the youth. Why you think these niggas over here join the Bloods and the Crips, Vice Lords, GDs, all this old shit? Because they have that warrior energy in them and no outlet other than to get on the fucking football field or basketball court. There is no a positive outlet for them to express that energy. So they go out and gangbang. But yeah, the youth, that's the energy you want to tap into. He's on it, man. He's on it, and at his age, he's like in his mid-30s, and that go to show, man, this Western education fucked us up. I was nowhere on his level at his age. And I was in this truth. That was my early years in this truth. In my mid-30s, early to mid-30s, I was just coming in. And I'm not ashamed to say, I wasn't on his level at his age. Now I'm beyond him, of course, because his only hang up now is that Islam shit. And that's where, well, that'll be his main problem. And here's why, all right? Islam does not deal with prophecy. And you don't know prophecy, which is prophecy is to say before, to speak before, all right? Prophecy gives us insight into the future. So no prophecy, no insight. The scriptures say, where there is no vision, the people perish it. So that would be my only downfall with him. But let's check this out right quick. All right. And we'll come back and finish this out. And Lord will, we'll get into this later.
If you wanted to stop Africa from becoming a superpower, you wouldn't have to invent a new strategy. The blueprint has already been written, tested, and perfected over centuries. You'd start by making...
I'm sorry, my connection is slow here. Bear with me, please.
The blueprint has already been written, tested, and perfected over centuries. You'd start by making sure Africa never unites. The easiest way to do that is by keeping people divided along ethnic, tribal, and religious lines. If they ever start working together, remind them of past grievances. Stoke old wounds, fund separatist movements, keep border disputes unresolved. Make sure every time they take one step forward, they take 2 steps back because they're too busy fighting each other. You'd install leaders who serve foreign interests, not their people. Find the most corrupt, the most easily manipulated, the ones who crave wealth and status more than progress. Offer them power in exchange for loyalty. If a leader rises who actually cares about Africa, get rid of them. Assassinate them if necessary. But if that's too messy, just destabilize their government and back a coup. If they talk about nationalizing resources, make an example out of them. If they try to unite Africa, take them out before the idea spreads. You'd keep Africa economically weak by making sure it never industrializes. Let them export raw materials but never process them themselves. Control the mines, the oil fields, the rare earth minerals. Keep them selling cheap and buying expensive. If a country tries to break free and build its own industries, sabotage it. Place sanctions, destabilize its currency, fund local opposition, crash its economy. If that doesn't work, orchestrate a civil war. People can't build when they're too busy trying to survive. You'd make sure their education system produces workers, not innovators. Teach them history that glorifies their oppressors. Make them...
And you see, of course, while I'm...
Their cultures are primitive. Their ancestors were savages. Their future depends on foreign approval. Train them to memorize, not to think critically. Keep their best and brightest...
And I think I actually did a video on this particular video, but it actually goes into the very wine that Habakkuk spoke about.
Make them dream of escaping Africa rather than fixing it. Offer scholarships that take their top minds to the West and never encourage them to return.
Yeah, I did do a video on this particular clip. So, right, it's going into Esau's wine that he transgressed by. All right, they're giving you Esau's foreign policy, and that's where I did the U.S. foreign policy video based on this particular clip. All right, so they're going into Esau's wine. When I say Esau, I'm referring to the so-called white people that are in power.
Make them think their cultures are primitive. Their ancestors were savages. Their future depends on foreign approval. Train them to memorize, not to think critically. Keep their best and brightest looking overseas for opportunities. Make them dream of escaping Africa rather than fixing it. Offer scholarships that take their top minds to the West and never encourage them to return. Let the continent keep training doctors and engineers only for them to go enrich other nations. You'd control their narratives. Own their media. Control their stories, dictate their image to the world. Make them believe they are corrupt, hopeless, eternally in crisis. Flood their screens with poverty porn and war zones. Show them charity ads that make them believe they are helpless without foreign aid. Downplay their successes. Twist their victories into isolated incidents. If an African country develops a groundbreaking innovation, credit a foreign investor. If an African leader implements a successful policy, frame it as an anomaly rather than proof of competence. You'd make sure they remain dependent. Drown them in debt. Offer loans with impossible conditions. Force them to privatize everything so foreign corporations own their water, their electricity, their land. When they struggle, give them just enough aid to keep them alive, but never enough to make them self-sufficient. Use charities to create a culture of reliance. If you wanted to stop Africa from becoming...
So in other words, squeeze them dry. All right? And that's his policy. Take till there's nothing left to take. All right? This devil, if he could, he would squeeze blood from a turnip. All right? But yeah, that's what we're dealing with, and I believe that was the video titled "The Overall Policy," the overall foreign policy of the elites. All right, because that's how they just gave the blueprint of how these devils come in, the devil being the so-called white man, how they come in and take over people's country. And she mentioned coup d'etats, assassinations, and then she listed off the things that they do once they get control of your country. Then they subjugate you. They subjugate you, all right, in many ways. So that fits Habakkuk chapter 2 and 5. All right. Now this is verse 6. It says, shall not all these take up a parable against him? Right. Get the fuck out of my country. You know, but they're a little more diplomatic with it. They tell him, you know, Honky, it's time to go home. It's time for you to go home, Honky. All right. So shall not all these take up a parable against him and a taunting proverb against him and say, woe to him that increaseth that which is not his. Right. He coveted fields and take them by violence. Habakkuk chapter 2, verses 1 and 2. Wait, did I say Micah? Let's go to that so that you don't get confused. Micah chapter 2, verses 1 and 2. So it's Micah chapter 2 and 1. Woe to them that devise iniquity and work evil upon their beds. When the morning is light, they practice it because it is in the power of their hand. Right. These are the people who run the world. Who is that? It's Esau Edom. Yo zaddy Esau, the white boy. All right. That's the black woman zaddy. White boy. She like that white boy. So it said, woe to them that devise iniquity and work evil upon their beds. See, they're working evil on their beds towards Ibrahim Traore. They're working evil. Now they sending a nigga over there in U.S. uniform. All right. This is what they do. And they already up on game. They know the game. All right. So it says, when the morning is light, they practice it because it is in the power of their hand. And they covet fields. You see, they covet fields, the gold mines, oil fields, lithium mines, coal mines, you name it. Water. They're taking over water. We can't even have water. Water is precious, but it's abundant. Water is precious, man, but it's abundant. Just as our bodies, the earth reflects our bodies. Our bodies is 80+% water, so is the earth. You got more water on earth than land. There's water under the earth, water above the firmament, water beneath the firmament. We breathe in water. It's, but this devil don't even want us to have water. He covets. So it says, and they covet fields and take them by violence, and houses and take them away. So they oppress a man and his house, even a man and his heritage. And that's why I credit Ibrahim. He understands the narrative, or the importance of narrative. And this is why he wants his people, the youth, to know their history, so that Esau can come in and control the narrative. And when you know where you from, and you got prophecy to tell you where you going, this devil can't come in and tell you shit. That's why the Western indoctrination, not education, but Western indoctrination, is as important to their conquest of a one world order than any other aspect of their, of their global conquest. Because that's what keeps people in line, the indoctrination. But him, Ibrahim, and the rest of these other countries that's waking up, Nigeria, Senegal, there are others that just escape my memory right now. They're rising up. They're saying enough is enough. They're taking up a parable against this bastard and a taunting proverb and telling them, bastard, get the fuck out. We done had enough. And they always play the victim. You hear them South Africaners, they can't even, what? Afrikaners? Motherfucker, you in somebody else's land, say the shit right. That's Esau. He won't never, just like we can't act like he can't say your name right. If your name ain't Bill or Ted, he act like he can't fucking pronounce the shit. It's just a form of disrespect. God done had enough of these motherfuckers, man. And let me get off this. I see y'all on the live. We gonna get at this devil today, man. So till then, y'all stay up. Well, look, the thick clay, all right? The thick clay. So it says, Habakkuk 2:6, shall not all these take up a parable against him and a taunting proverb against him, and say, woe to him that increaseth that which is not his? How long? And to him that laded himself with thick clay, all right? Meaning heavy depth. And you heard the woman say that that's one of their strategies. That's a tactic to get these countries through the foreign aid program, get them bogged down in this heavy depth, all right? Thick clay, from the Hebrew word ibatyat, which means heavy depth. This is what they do, and they use the Federal Reserve note, the World Reserve currency, the Federal Reserve note, which just that in alone, people should go and string these devils up. Just for the Federal Reserve note alone, because that's a part of his foreign policy, to spread debt through the Federal Reserve note. But that's another lesson. All right? But that's the instrument of debt that he uses to ensnare these countries. And you heard her also mention the sanctions, which Trump has threatened to sanction Burkina Faso. So it's just an interesting saga, man. I love watching it play out. But yeah, until the Thursday live, y'all stay up. Shalom.